Okay, it is the 1st of June 2016. It's just after midnight, and I'm going to be making a video showing this high pressure being amplified over the west coast. I'm going to show the progression. It's not going to be a very long video because I'm tired. It's been a long day. Anyways, this is the water vapor satellite going from May 29th, 22:30 Zulu to May 30th, 2 Zulu. And you can see that, well, we have this notch thing right here. There's not really too much activity in the center of it because the clouds here have been pretty much taken out. What we do see is a flow. We have two high pressures, one right here and one right here. The one right here we're going to be focusing on more. Anyways, yeah, in between the two highs there's a low pressure and there's a flow that's going from this high down and going into this high here. And you notice a lot of chemtrail activities. They do not want anything to form. They want to keep any low pressure development at bay. Of course, there's a little bit of rotation on top of this notch. Low pressure is trying to form here, and they have to keep that at bay. They're eventually going to squash it. Yesterday or the day before yesterday, there was actually a weird beam, two beams being pointed out on one of the satellite maps, and it was aiming right towards this low pressure. And after the anomaly showed up on the map, it started losing its circular shape. Anyways, I'm rambling on too much. I'm going to focus on this high pressure now being built up. See, the air is getting a bit drier, and see big chemtrails all throughout this thing. They're getting the area ready for massive high pressure. Here's this low pressure that was over Southern California. It's going to be squeezed off to the southeast and deliver more precipitation to Texas. Texas has already been flooded, so that's very bad. Anyways, yeah, not too much else to see. Let's look at the visible satellite. This is the same time. We have rotation, low pressure trying to form here. Then we got high pressure over here and high pressure over here. Notice the lack of clouds over here. That's being caused by the ionospheric heaters. You're going to see that in about 24 hours from now, this area of clearing off the west coast is going to get quite a bit bigger. Okay, moving on. I think this is during the night time. This is water vapor for May 30th, 6 to 9:30 Zulu. See the high pressure right over here, just west of California, is building up more. The air is getting drier and it's expanding up to the north. And of course you see big aerosols in there. This low pressure has moved off to the east a little bit. It's going to inch its way towards Texas. Anyways, to the west a bit, see this low pressure here is trying to get itself together. It's being suppressed. It's going to be eventually squashed completely. I actually see a low pressure trying to form over the Aleutian Islands. This thing's not going to do too much to enhance our precipitation here on the west coast. See some aerosols in there. Anyways, moving on. This is May 30th, 23:30 Zulu to May 31st, 3 Zulu, and see this high pressure has really been amped up. Air's rapidly getting drier and the rotation is getting more vigorous. Again, you see really heavy chemtrails to enhance the ionospheric heaters effect. Okay, let's slow this down. Man, crazy chemtrails and rapid drying. It's amazing. Also see some moisture coming down. Here's this low pressure moving off to the east even more now. It's starting to wrap around. That wrap around is helping to bring in some moisture. That's going to bring Texas quite a bit of precipitation. Not only that though, we have all this moisture going up and around California, Oregon and all that. It's going down and could be potentially feeding the system. Anyways, let's take a look at this low pressure right here. This is just after a weird anomaly hit in one of the maps. Its circular shape is kind of going away. Anyways, yeah, that doesn't really look too natural. See a little right angle in there? This is May 31st, 0 Zulu. Just west of this low pressure, the low pressure that was forming on top of the Aleutian Islands has pretty much been pancaked. Looks more of like an oval rather than a circle. Very strange shape. And south of this low pressure, see something trying to spin up here. Unfortunately though, it's going to be suppressed. A lot of aerosols, that's going to hinder development. This thing might go over towards the east, towards California, but the way things are going now, I do not see it delivering precipitation. Just too many aerosols, primarily. Okay, this is the visible satellite for the same time. First of all, you notice this area of clearing off of the west coast has expanded out quite a bit. There's not too many clouds in the area. There's just aerosols. You actually get a really nice contrast. Let me pause that. You actually see all these lines surrounding the lower level clearing. It's amazing. Okay, let's resume this. Apparently these chemtrails really haven't been photoshopped out, so you get to see them pretty well, at least during the transition from day to night. Here's some thunderheads over Central Valley. Those go away after sunset. There's not really too many clouds over Southern California, at least my area. Suppression, I'd say maybe. Here's another view of these low pressures over here, and view of this thing not being able to completely spin up before being pancaked. Interesting. Okay, this is the 1000 millibar relative humidity map. This is for May 31st, 0 Zulu. There's quite a bit of dry air inland. The coastal areas have quite a bit of moisture. Not really too much stuff to see there. Okay, this is 850 millibars, 5,000 feet, and there's quite a bit of dryness, especially off the coast of California and Oregon. There's a little bit of moisture over the Sierras and Central Valley areas and Southern California areas. There's some clouds around from the moisture flow coming from the northeast. Okay, 700 millibars, 10,000 feet. There's quite a bit of dry air around. There's a tongue extending from the San Francisco, Northern California area all the way to Arizona, Mexico area. Again, there's a little bit of moisture over California due to some being wound up from over here, and rising and forming some clouds. Okay, this is 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. There's a huge amount of dry air over the west coast. And that's a result of high pressure being built up. Ionospheric heaters and the chemtrails are drying out everything. A little bit of moisture over here towards Central and Southern California, but it isn't much. There's that low pressure that was squeezing off to the east. It's really dry towards the center, which is kind of odd. Okay, 300 millibars, 30,000 feet. There's quite a bit of moisture at this level over California, but off the coast is really dry. It's a tongue of dry air extending from Oregon all the way into Mexico and Arizona. There's actually different areas of moisture going in a ring shape. Okay, this is the sea surface pressure analysis. See that there's high pressure on the top of the west coast and off the west coast. There's a low pressure right here. There's a little bit of low pressure down here, but it isn't marked. And high pressure is marked a bit to the west, 1,025 millibars. And of course we have this low pressure trying to form in the Aleutian Islands area, 986 millibars. See low pressure in the Arizona area. Okay, 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. There's a strong high marked on top of the west coast. There's low pressure over Arizona and Mexico area. Low pressure indicated here, not marked. And there's low pressure marked here. And low pressure near the Aleutian Islands trying to form up, but it's been squashed. Okay, 300 millibars, 30,000 feet. High pressure is right over the west coast. There's low pressure over Arizona area. Low pressure's here and up here as well. Marked low pressure's here and here. Right. Okay, this is quite a few hours later, May 31st, 17 to 2030 Zulu. Man, look how deep this high pressure has gone in. See very blatant aerosols in here. Once again, it's amazing. See low pressure over Arizona, moving off, delivering rainfall into Texas area. Large amount of rainfall. See these thunderstorms, rather severe, bubbling up. Anyways, let's slow this thing down, because this is just remarkable how many aerosols are being shown in here and the rapidly drying air. Just to the west, there's low pressure that's trying to form here. Of course, all that moisture is being completely aerosolized, so the system's not going to be able to deliver really too much precipitation, if any at all, to California. See a little bit of clockwise rotation here on the west side of the system. This thing should be completely wrapping around, but yet it's not. Of course, we have high pressure to the west even more. It's flattening out a bit and trying to deliver moisture into this thing, but it's not going to work. It's going to be suppressed by heavy aerosols and ionospheric heaters. And just to the north of this thing forming, there's this low pressure that has been pretty much pancaked out. That's pretty much what's left of it. It was looking better yesterday. See some high pressure over Alaska as well. Here's the visible satellite. The cloudlessness off the west coast, or on top of the west coast, continues. It actually looks pretty much the same, but there's clouds that are opening up to the west. And again, you see the heavy aerosols. Very visible. Whoever was responsible for photoshopping these maps must have been out to lunch. And of course you see these low pressures trying to spin up, but obviously they're being suppressed and killed off on demand. It seems like there's clouds being blown apart here in this low pressure that's trying to form. That could explain why I saw the clockwise rotation in the water vapor map. Okay, this is a few hours later, May 31st, 23:30 Zulu to June 1st, 3 Zulu. Just look how deep this dryness has gotten in the high pressure. See some really vigorous activity over east side of this system here. That's delivering Texas quite a bit of rainfall. They're getting flooded there. Meanwhile, here in California, we're getting really hot weather and drought. No precipitation here, just heavy aerosols and high pressure. Here's this low pressure over here trying to form up. Chemtrails are continuing and there's clockwise rotation here. Even more visible. So they're keeping this thing at bay, not planning on this thing delivering rainfall to the west coast. Just to the north, here's what's left of the low pressure that was here just 24 hours ago. It's pretty much gone. High pressure here. Heavy chemtrails into this flow, of course. They don't want any sort of low pressure forming in here, in this moisture field. Okay, this is the visible satellite map for the same time. Another good view of the aerosols as day turns to night. You see a lot of clearing over here and over here as well. Slow this down. See clouds dissipating here. Speed this up. Oh wait, actually let's pause this. Yeah. There you go. See all the wispiness. Okay, this is the 1000 millibar relative humidity map. This is for June 1st, 0 Zulu. There's quite a bit of moisture off the west coast, and inland is pretty dry over the west. Okay, 850 millibars, 5,000 feet. Not really too much moisture, except for in the mountainous regions. Even then, there was not really too many clouds around. It's very, very dry all over for the most part. Okay, 700 millibars, 10,000 feet. Huge dry air at this level in the coastal areas of central and northern California and off the coast. Have a little bit more moisture in southern California, but just offshore and to the south, it's very dry. Very, very dry. Okay, 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. There's a huge amount of dry air all throughout California. Only Southern California has a little bit of moisture. Other than that, though, extremely dry at this level. I'm telling you, it's both the chemtrails and ionospheric heaters drying everything out. Okay, 300 millibars, 30,000 feet. There's a bit of moisture in California, but there's some pockets though that are pretty dry, like over my area, and just quite a bit of dryness around. Not a whole lot of humidity in general. See low pressure here delivering moisture to Texas. Anyways, let's move on. We're almost done. This is the sea surface pressure analysis for June 1st, 0 Zulu. See high pressure, but it isn't marked over California. See low pressure centered over Arizona, and of course the bands are wrapping around into Texas and delivering a hell of a lot of rainfall. There's actually a high marked right here between the two areas of low pressure, one right here and one right here. So that's kind of interesting. And then there's another high just to the west, quite a bit bigger and stronger, 1,022 millibars versus 1,025. This low pressure right here is 1,014 millibars. There seems to be low pressure over the Aleutian Islands, but it's all beaten up. It says 989 millibars, but it doesn't really look strong. Not a whole lot of rotation. Okay, this is 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. It's high marked right on top of California. There's low marked over Arizona and Mexico. There's also a rather weak low marked north of this low right here. And of course there's to the west more high pressure and another low showing up over the Aleutian Islands. Okay, this is 300 millibars, 30,000 feet. Massive high pressure over the west coast, but it doesn't look to be marked. But this low just to the southeast is marked. It's doing its job at delivering a lot of rain to Texas. Again, there's low pressure here. Doesn't seem to be high pressure showing up here though. That's kind of odd. And whatever's left of this low pressure is right here. Gonna make it onshore to British Columbia. It's low right here. High over here. Before we look at the NASA World View and call this a video, I'm going to show you the storm surf map, the current map. You see that there's high pressure over the west coast. It has been amplified quite a bit. Now it's really big and it has expanded up to the north. Of course you see the low pressure here trying to develop, but it's not going to deliver much the way things are going. It's going to probably be aerosolized to death, give us hot weather down here in Southern California. And of course, you see high pressure right here is flattening out a bit. See, look what this thing's going to do. This low pressure is just going to stay around for a while offshore and eventually might go onshore, but probably it's not going to deliver anything. And of course, in this plus 96 hours, June 4th, 18 Zulu, there's one of these notches forming again. Two areas of high pressure, and in between is low pressure. I think it's gonna not do too much, but that's way out in the future. Don't see it doing much, but we're gonna have to wait and see what happens, because the weather controllers could change the game at any time. Okay, we're just gonna have a brief look at the NASA World View and call it a video. This is May 29th. See, there's clearing off the west coast that's starting to begin. Of course, you see the aerosols pretty well, especially over Northern California and to the east. Anyways, there's a low pressure right here before it was completely squashed. Not really too much activity to the south because they were pressing a lot of dry air down here. See clouds from the low pressure. Something is going to move off to the east. There are really heavy chemtrails over California to prevent the low pressure from getting too strong and delivering a lot of rainfall. Anyways, let's move on. This is May 30th. See the clearing really well off the west coast and on top of the west coast as well. Not too many clouds around in this one area. See chemtrails pretty well. They seem to be getting heavier as you go towards the north. It's insane. Here's this low pressure See a little ripple and an angle in here. I think this thing was taken right after the anomaly showed up. See the effects here. Looks to be RF energy because there isn't really any mountains in the middle of the ocean that I know of here. To the south a little bit there's low pressure here, but as you see it's being suppressed. Not a whole lot of clouds around, and see heavy aerosols all throughout this thing. I see little lines appearing right off the coast of Baja. It's kind of interesting. To the east there's this low pressure that has moved off, and see there's flow coming right out of Mexico. It's going into Texas. Okay, let's move on. This is May 31st. Pretty much the same area is clear off the west coast, but this time a lot of aerosols over the clearing. That's just them. I mean, that's just them making an effort to keep the high pressure going, prevent precipitation from occurring, prevent low pressures from forming. Let's zoom into these aerosols. There's some really nice detail. Also, you see aerosols on top of the land. Quite a bit of aerosols over the Great Basin area. X marks the spot. And of course to the west you see another clear area. A lot of aerosols visible in there. To the south, it's low pressure trying to develop, but it's not going to do too much. To the north, this low pressure has been completely decimated. Nothing really too much left of it. Of course, there's low pressure to the west, but it's been pretty much pancaked. See a lot of lines in there that look kind of weird. They're evenly spaced. That could possibly be RF, but I'm not 100% certain because there's mountains here on these islands. And to the south there's high pressure and quite a bit of clearing. Not too many clouds around. Before I end the video, let's take a look at Texas. See these big thunderheads developing. Hate to see what kind of weather that brought them. And this low pressure that was squeezed out of California to the southeast has a large part to do with severe weather happening now over Texas. The weather controllers just can't leave Mother Nature alone. Alright, I think that's it for the video. Thank you for watching, and please share.